fundamentally, what I try to do with the work I make is to make work that has a relationship to art history, but it is not a kind of recapitulation of a particular image or a style by copying the existing model, but instead trying to use the principles under which that original artwork or that original genre of work was made. And so the Rococo seemed to be the perfect point of departure for that, for the picture, and for its relationship to the other paintings in the show that are called vignettes also. There are some features that seem to be reoccurring in all of those works, and one of the things I noticed was that in almost all of those landscapes, there's a kind of evocation of the classical ideal of love. And it's usually embodied in a series of either statues or ruins that exist somewhere in the background of the space. And so I started replacing some of that imagery with Black independence and Black nationalism. In some of those paintings, you'll see emblems of this moment in which Black liberation was kind of a primary focus of a lot of people. And so those things become a kind of classical ideal that help to inform the way people see those pictures. So I live in Chicago. I happen to be driving home from a suburb on the far south side, and instead of getting on the expressway, I decided to take the public street, the surface streets. And driving down one street through a neighborhood that people would associate with a lot of violence, I passed the house, and on the steps, I saw this scene as I was driving by of a young man standing on the top step of the porch of a house, leaning over to kiss a girl that was standing on a lower step. And if you look at both those people, the way I saw them, those are not the people that you would expect to see doing that kind of thing. You would almost never see them represented that way. Because what you don't see a lot of in representation just about anywhere are images of Black people who seem to like each other, who seem to care about each other, who seem to be in love with each other. These are pictures you just don't see because the news media is almost always filled with images of Black folks associated with some sort of crime or some sort of victimization or some other kind of trauma. And the historical narrative of Black people in the United States is associated almost exclusively with the kind of trauma. So I decided I would make pictures that really went all the way in trying to represent a kind of relationship between Black people that demonstrated a certain kind of affection for each other. You know, so that's literally kind of at the heart of what I've been trying to do and what I did with this new vignette painting called Untitled: The Kiss.